Hey there, my name's Curtis Lucas and you're watching Empire Building. So I was working on a different video and then I saw something very interesting in the comment section of one of my recent videos, asking for my thoughts on the 40% dilution of RIOT shares that was just announced. Now I hadn't heard this myself, so I checked my newsfeed. Nothing. So I went to RIOT's website and still nothing. So I went right to the source and checked the SEC website, and sure enough, there it was, just filed today. It would seem that this news is being regarded as the cause for the sell-off that just occurred in RIOT in the aftermarket session after the market closed on Friday. Now remember, this is not investment advice. You need to do your own research. I am only here to provide you with some perspective. The first thing I'm going to say about this is calm down. Don't panic.
This is the perfect time to panic!
There is a little more to an S3 filing than you might realize. And it doesn't exactly mean what you might think it means. I wanted to come up with this video as soon as I could, but it took me a little longer than I thought it would because it did require a little bit of research on my part. But the most important thing is I always want to make sure I get it right. I'm going to start by explaining why some people might be a little upset about this. And then why this might not be as bad as you think. And then we're going to talk about what we need to do with this new information going forward. The timing on this is actually pretty good because the video that I was working on was another price prediction video. And if you've seen my last one, you know that I predicted a potential future price target from RIOT and Mara as high as $300 to $400 US. In my next video, I'm going to take this a step further and actually try to incorporate a future price for Bitcoin as well as accounting for the future growth of the hash rate on the Bitcoin network. I believe with this, we should be able to get a much cleaner picture of what might happen over the next 12 months in these stocks. So for now, let's just deal with this new information that we have at hand. The explanatory note reads, "This registration statement on Form S3 contains two prospectuses relating to the offering and sale of RIOT Blockchain Inc. securities. 1. A base prospectus covering the offering, issuance, and sale by RIOT Blockchain Inc. of up to $200 million of its securities, including common stock, no par value, preferred stock, warrants, options, and units. And a sales agreement prospectus covering the offering, issuance, and sale by RIOT Blockchain Inc. of shares of its common stock for a maximum aggregate offering price of up to $200 million through its sales agent H.C. Wainwright & Co. LLC, pursuant to the at-the-market offering agreement between RIOT Blockchain Inc. and H.C. Wainwright & Co. LLC, dated May 24, 2019, as amended by that certain Second Amendment to the at-to-market offering agreement, dated effective as of the date of this registration statement, is declared effective by the Securities and Exchange Commission and filed as Exhibit 1.1 to this registration statement." I know, blah, blah, blah. Most people only have one question. So in the months to come during this bull market, there's going to be a lot of information flying around out there. And it will be very difficult to take the necessary time to absorb this information in any meaningful way. This is why bear markets are so important for expanding your knowledge base. If you read this document through, you might notice that nowhere in this document does it make any reference to a 40% dilution of RIOT shares. So where does this come from? Well, people just took a look at the $200 million equity offering as a percentage of the $510 million current market cap, and boom, there you go, 40% dilution. Well, that's not actually what's happening here. So bear with me while we dig deeper and get to the bottom of this. The next section of this document is the prospectus, and it reads, "We may from time to time in one or more offerings at prices and on terms that we will determine at the time of each offering, sell common stock, preferred stock, warrants, units, or a combination of these securities for an aggregate initial offering price of up to $200 million. This prospectus provides you with a general description of the securities we may offer. which is not meant to be a complete description of each of the securities. Each time we offer to sell securities, we will provide you with a prospectus supplement that will contain specific information about the terms of that offering. Any prospectus supplement may also add, update, or change information contained in this prospectus. You should carefully read this prospectus and the applicable prospectus supplement, as well as the documents incorporated or deemed to be incorporated by reference in this prospectus and the applicable prospectus supplement before you purchase any of the securities offered. So what all this means is that RIOT is amending the agreement that it currently has with W.C. Wainwright to increase the limit of the maximum aggregate value of the sale of securities to $200 million. This is not saying that they're raising $200 million by diluting shares today. It said that there was an existing agreement in place with W.C. Wainwright that was dated May 24th, 2019. So we can go back and have a look at that. You can see that the last agreement in place was for $100 million. But how much did they actually sell? To find this, we go to the last quarterly report as of September 30th, 2020. Termination of 2019 ATM offering. Effective as of October 15th, 2020, the company and H.C. Wainwright terminated the 2019 ATM offering and replaced it with the 2020 ATM offering under the terms of the First Amendment to the sales agreement. As of its termination, the company had cumulatively sold 30.6 million shares of its common stock for an aggregate gross sales price of approximately $74 million pursuant to the 2019 ATM offering. With the termination of the 2019 ATM offering, no additional securities will be sold by the company pursuant to the prospectus supplement relating to the 2019 registration statement. So they sold a lot of shares, 30.6 million to be exact, which would turn out to be an aggregate price of $2.42. But they still fell short of their $100 million target before they terminated the agreement. For the record, 30.6 million shares equates to 150% dilution. Now they have an agreement for twice as much in terms of dollar value. But this isn't something that's being sold all at once. Just like last time, it'll take some time. As it stands right now, they haven't submitted a prospectus supplement that would allow them to sell any additional shares, but they're preparing to do just that. One can only hope that they wait as long as they can so that they could raise the entire $200 million without diluting existing shareholders by that much. If they could wait for a price of $30 per share, then they could raise the entire $200 million while only diluting existing shareholders by 13%. Ideally, I'd like to see that below 10%, but that's just me wishing. Now, I should disclose that I don't currently own any shares of RIOT. I exited that position and put all of that into Mara for reasons that I described in my video comparing RIOT versus Mara. And I will reiterate, my decision to do that had nothing to do with my perception of the strength of one company over the other. It had only to do with the value proposition of each company with respect to their market caps. Besides, Mara is no different than RIOT with regards to this. In fact, the two companies actually hired the same firm to sell their shares. I suppose I should thank them for it because the selling of these shares was one of the things that contributed to the prices dropping to ridiculous levels, which allowed me to purchase nearly 10,000 shares of RIOT at 58 cents a share. No matter what, the management has made it clear that they intend to further dilute shares, but it's worth taking the time to understand why. The money raised last time is what made it possible for them to acquire so many S19 miners, which is what led to the parabolic rise that we've seen in the first place. So, thanks? If you're wondering what they intend to do with all this money they have coming in, well, it looks like they're just going to keep you in suspense. Unless otherwise indicated in a prospectus supplement, we intend to use the net proceeds from the sale of the securities under this prospectus for general corporate purposes, which may include capital expenditures, funding potential acquisitions of additional new mining equipment, other potential acquisitions, and general working capital. We will set forth in a prospectus supplement relating to a specific offering any intended use for the net proceeds received from the sale of securities in that offering. We will have significant discretion in the use of any net proceeds. Investors will be relying on the judgment of our management regarding the application of the proceeds of any sale of securities. We may invest the net proceeds temporarily until we use them for their stated purpose as applicable. God, I hope they buy more Bitcoin with it.
You have no power here.
If the prospect of this makes you upset, that's understandable. But you should consider this. Banks have not been very friendly to cryptocurrency companies, so acquiring debt in order to purchase Bitcoin miners is probably still a tall order.
And yet you have the audacity to ask the bank for money.
Apparently.
One can only hope that this won't be such a big problem in the future. But on the other hand, as a result, these companies have no debt on their balance sheet. So yeah, to summarize, it's not as bad as it sounds, and it's kind of necessary, and we'll need to be able to account for it in our price prediction models moving forward, which is exactly what the next video is going to be about. So remember to tap that like button to help build this empire, especially if you found this helpful, and subscribe to the channel for future videos. That's all I got for this one. Now let's get back to empire building. Bye.